Hey, dear parents and students. I hope the parents and students will watch this together. First of all, my name is Jen Oakes. This is my 10th year teaching at Calvary, my 6th year teaching middle school. Super excited that I get to see students in person starting Thursday. Kind of miss orientation, but at the same time, I think it would be great if you just keep this link, this video kind of saved somewhere. You can go back and look at it as you go through the year. As a mom, I get to do the long video, so sorry, bear it with me. Both of my daughters went to Calvary from 4-year-old to all the way through 8th grade. They're now both high schoolers. My son started here when he was 2 and is now in 6th grade. So I love Calvary a lot. Couple of things for those of you who have been here before, but that are going to be different, but also good reminders for everybody. We will not have the salad bar or hot lunches. So it's really, really important that you pack lunches. It's also really important that you try to remember to pack like the forks and the spoons and the napkins and all those things that we all just kind of took for granted. I mean, I packed my lunch most of the time anyway, but I always just grabbed a fork from, where we had it upstairs in the loft. Try to remember to stick that stuff in your kids' backpack and your kids' lunch boxes. We'll probably have them, but we're really, really trying to cut down on traffic in the hallways. So sending a student to go hunt down a fork kind of defeats that. Also be sure to pack their lunch and pack a mat, a towel, something to sit on. We are really, really, really going to try to get kids outside as much as possible. We're going to be eating lunch outside. We're going to have longer recesses outside. We're going to try to teach literature outside. Fresh air is going to help a lot in keeping everybody healthy. So we're going to try to do things outside as much as possible. Water fountains will be closed. So it's really important that you bring a water bottle every day. We'll have the big cooler that will be kept clean, have nice fresh water in it. You can refill your water bottles. Be sure to bring a water bottle with you. Trying to think if there's any other. Remember, bring a mask. Anytime you're in the hallway, you'll have to wear a mask. You'll have to wear a mask some in classes. We'll kind of be feeling all that out, but masks are important. And I know that wasn't on your supply list because when I made the supply list, we were all hoping we wouldn't have to worry about that, but be sure to wear a mask, to bring a mask. Dismissal and arrival will be different. Because, well, first of all, let's talk rooms. Mr. B's room, the science teacher, same place he's always been, off the gym. Miss Stevenson, 5th grade teacher, where she's been for a very long time, out in what we call the new modulars, the modulars that are facing Red Wing. I am now in what was Miss Barnett's room last year. Actually, the first room I ever had when I taught middle school, right beside Mrs. Stevenson. When you come in my classroom or Miss Stevenson's classroom, unless it's pouring the rain for arrival, you'll come in our back doors. And at dismissal, you'll go out our back doors, and then we'll dismiss you from the little parking lot to the main parking lot. And no one is allowed to park outside the modular, so don't try to sneak and get here early, because even teachers aren't allowed to park there this year, because that's going to be used for lunch and recess. And then Miss Barnett is going to be across from what used to be the art room. As you're headed from the cafeteria down to the gym, it'll be the one that'll be on the right. So all the middle school will be down here together. Really try to cut down on hallway traffic. Really, 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 really important that you get here on time. At 7:30 is when morning care will be over and when my back door will be open, and you will be allowed into the classrooms. Really important you get, and class starts at 7:45. So that means by 7:45, you need to have gone to your locker, gotten what you need for your first 2 classes, gotten settled at your desk, and be writing your memory verse. We'll talk more about that in a second. And keep in mind, I can't let all 14 of you go to your locker at the same time. So you're going to have to allow yourself plenty of time to get in, get settled, keeping in mind we're going to have to rotate people at lockers, keeping that social distancing. for all of our new parents, especially our new fifth graders, but everybody, it's a good reminder. Middle school doesn't send out newsletters. It's just too complicated. We got 4 different teachers. Our main form of communication is RenWeb. If you have any questions about setting up your RenWeb password, username, all that account, that stuff, that's a Miss Diane Osborne question. As a mom, I'm going to show you how to use RenWeb though. It's not going to look exactly like it would once the school year's up and going, but this will give you a good idea. So let me turn the camera here. Hopefully you can see it. Sorry, by the way, you're stuck with not the greatest videographer doing this with her new phone, no less. So bear with me. Actually, give me 1 second. I'm just going to switch it. There we go. That'll make it a little bit easier. Okay, when you get on RenWeb, this is what this is the first screen that you'll come to. It tells you over here where the calendar is, so you always know when the semester is going to begin and end. Then events, if there's any events, it would be right here. You can click there for online payment. Student, there we go. Looks very different than it will. But once the school year gets going, right here will be a box that will have their homework. The middle school teachers try, we're not perfect, to get homework on there every day by the time we leave. We have to wait till when we have our planning period, have some time, but over here will be their what their homework is. Then over here, it will be a box to tell you what their grades are. So there should not be any surprises about grades. And then you can click on the teacher and look in depth at their grades. So you can be like, oh, they're doing pretty good on their quizzes, but they're stinking at their tests, so let's work on that. Or they're doing okay on their tests, but they're really struggling with their quizzes, or whatever it may be. So you can see exactly what the assignment is that they might be struggling with. Click on this and it will take you to homework in more depth. Lesson plans, there's not really anything. Attendance, you can check on their attendance. Family is where you would go to find out, like to pay your bill, that kind of stuff. So that's kind of the basics of RenWeb. Up here, if you have multiple students, is where you can change from, back when I had both Will and Bailey here, I could go from Will to change it to Bailey to tell me exactly what's going on. So that's kind of a real quick overview of RenWeb. That is where you find out everything. If we ever, again, get to go back to normal enough that we have, Christmas parties or the middle school dance or a middle school field trip, that kind of information, we will send out emails and text messages. Ms. Stevenson's the one that's in charge of that. She does a really awesome job. As far as kind of some consequences, if students continuously don't turn in assignments, then they do end up having detention. And detention will be started with Mr. Hess. It'll be right after school. If it's a class that they don't turn an assignment in before lunch, then they have detention that day. We'll tell whoever's working the front desk, and they will contact you. If it's a class that's after lunch, they'll serve detention the next day. We show lots of grace and mercy. We get it. We have our times where we mess up, goof up, we have issues. But we really, but it's important that students learn to do their homework and get their assignments turned in on time. And if not, that there's a consequence. So real quick overview of just middle school stuff in general. Extremely important that you get here on time. This year, remember, you need to bring a mask. You need to bring your lunchbox and a mat or a towel or something to eat lunch on. You need to be sure to bring a water bottle. There is detention if we have if we have problems with not getting homework done. Middle school does start at 7:45. That's earlier than the elementary school. We will be doing everything we can, know this, to keep the school clean, to spend as much time outside as possible. RenWeb is our main way of communicating. School policy states that students are allowed only 6 days of absences, and then after that you have to have a doctor's note. I don't know what the COVID policy is on that. Check the website, the school website, for all the COVID policies updates. But just keep in mind that can cause problems. This is the planner. Your student will have a planner, which has in the front all of the school policies. Be sure to take the time to read this with your child. Also, every teacher puts their homework on the whiteboard so that the student can come in, always see their homework, and then copy their homework in their planner. And then we also try to keep it on RenWeb, so there's really no reason why students cannot know what their homework is to get it done. Back to absences. If your student is absent, the homeroom teacher will try. Once again, we're human. We've got lots of stuff going on, but we will try to start one of these sheets. So, we write down, I'm the history teacher, so I would write down what they would miss for Bible and for social studies, give it to somebody to take this to the next class, and the next teacher would write down what they miss, and so on until the day is done. And then, at the end of the day, the homeroom teacher will either hold on to this sheet, or if you contact the school and are like, hey, I want you to send home my work with younger sibling, older sibling, friend, next door neighbor, then we'll get their stuff together and send it home with whoever. Or you can say, hey, I want to pick my kids' stuff up at the end of the day, and we will get it together. It's got to be at the end of the day because we've got to have time to get together. They've got to make it, through all their classes. So it would have to be at least, I think most of the core classes are done by about 2. So it'd have to be after 2. On Thursday and Friday, they have literature right up to 3. Also, if for some reason your student's going to be absent on, let's say, Friday, on Thursday they can say, hey, Mrs. Oakes, I know I'm going to be absent tomorrow. Can you start me a sheet? We'll start them a sheet around, and then they can know what they need to make up. So, another form of communication, no excuses to not have stuff. 3 main things for success in middle school goes for all the classes: organization, time management, and developing good study habits. Study habits. Every kid is different. So your job as a parent one of your jobs as a parent is not to do the work for your kids, help them to figure out how to do it. And know every kid's different. If you have 3 kids, they may have 3 different ways of studying. Some people need to write it down over and over and over again to learn something. Some people need it completely silent. Some people can study better with music. Some people study better while moving. I always tell people, my middle child and I cannot study together worth anything because she learns by moving while she's studying. And so she is very kinesthetic, very oral. So she liked me to quiz her out loud, but she had to move while she was doing it. So, I'd be outside with her while she's jumping on the trampoline, quizzing her for science, and she'd do really well on the test the next day. And I'm like, yay, but I'm also having a nervous breakdown because I can't handle all that movement while I'm studying. Help your child figure out how they study best. Some kids associate colors with stuff. So help them figure, if that's your child, help them figure out that. Some need you to quiz them out loud. Some need to just say it out loud. Help your kid figure out how they study best, and then encourage them to actually do that. So take the time, take the effort to do whatever it is that they need to do well. Time management. Don't wait to the last minute on these projects. And look at your schedule and be like, hey, this is a crazy week. What can I work ahead on? And then keep yourself organized. Organization in middle schoolers, they don't go together. Even my overachieving oldest child who does really well in school and really cares about school. Organization I looked at her locker in middle school. I'm like, child, how are you succeeding? Because it is so important and it is such a struggle for these students. We know that. That's why we give them grace and mercy, but try to encourage them to be organized. That will go a long way in helping them. So that's kind of the overall for just general middle school information. More specific history stuff for 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th. Organization. Because history, social studies, you have the most books to keep up with. You have 3 different books to keep up with. You have your actual history book, which is the Abeka curriculum. It is a Christian-based history curriculum, which I really like. But it focuses mainly on history. Then you have a little thin book that goes with it. In 5th and 6th grade, the activities that you do in it are called skill sheets. In 7th and 8th grade, they're called geography projects. I don't know why they call them different names to confuse us all, but it's the same thing. It's like a little map activity. Those are homework. It's this little thin book. Once again, organization, figuring out how to make sure this comes with you to class and gets home so you can do the homework assignments. Thing about these, in 5th and 6th grade, they're like 1 page. They're pretty easy. Usually I give you like a night to do it. Might be able to get it done in class. 7th grade, the 7th grade year, some of these are 1 page, easy peasy, give you like a night to do it. Some of them, there's like 3 or 4 of them in here that are worth almost 200 points. That would be about the same amount as 2 test grades. I give you about 2 weeks to do it. If I say work on the geography project, which is going to take about 2 weeks, guess what? Don't wait till the night before to do it. It's going to be really bad if you do. And also back to RenWeb, if I say skill sheet 25, that means your student needs to get out this little thin book, open up to skill sheet 25 and do skill sheet 25. If I say geography project 6, that means your student needs to get this little book out, open up to geography project 6 and do it. The answers to these are sometimes in the same book, sometimes they are in your history books. You'll need to take both books home. You will have, depending on your grade, 1 to 4 quizzes every week. In the history book, 1 to 3, based on the history book, the Abeka history book. Here's the thing. I give amazing study guides. Literally. I open up the quiz book. I don't even try to hide the fact that I have the quiz book sitting in front of me. I write the question as close to word for word as I can from the quiz. Students have to find the answer, tell me what the answer is. I tell them if it's right or wrong, and literally tell them the answer that's on the quiz. It's their job to study it. Their job to copy it off the board, their job to get the quiz study guide home, their job to study it. Because there are so many quizzes, you can totally bomb a couple and be fine. We all know. You're going to have some bad days. You're going to bomb them occasionally. That's okay. You just can't consistently do bad on them or it's really going to kill your grade because they're going to add up to being as many points, if not more points than the test. You're also going to have a test every chapter to 2 or 3 chapters, depending on which grade you're in and what the section is. Same thing. I give amazing test study guides. Your job to actually do the test study guide, actually check your answers on the test study guide, and then study it. Same thing, time management. Don't wait to the last minute to study for a test. If we start checking the test study guide and I give you like 10, 15 correct answers, this is exactly what's on the test, start studying those that night. Then the next night you're going to have to review 10 to 20 and learn 10, 15 new ones. The next night, you'll have, 20 to review, 10 new to add. Instead of waiting to the night before and having like 50, 60 new things to try to cram into your brain, it doesn't work. Organization, time management, study skills, the 3 things that are important. Organization is hugely important because you have that, but you also have simple solutions. For all of you who have been here before, you know Simple Solutions. Simple Solutions is the only non-Christian curriculum that we have but I love it because we get to have some really great conversations about the basics of other religions and how Muslims, the Islam faith is different than the Christian faith, how a worldview is different than a biblical worldview. And then Mr. B, the science teacher, does a really good job of adding to the difference between a biblical worldview and a biblical worldview and a non-biblical worldview. Simple solutions. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, you will have a lesson to do every night. A lesson is 2 pages. You'll have a little lesson to read, and then you'll have like 10 questions. Sometimes you won't have anything to read, you'll just have questions. So Monday night, it'll say simple solutions. Actually, I won't say simple solutions 1 because we'll do some in class. But Monday night, it'll say simple solutions probably 3. Tuesday, simple solutions 4. That means you just have to do that lesson. If you're just absolutely stuck on one, don't spend hours. This should take you 15, 20 minutes, maybe less each night. If you're really, really stuck on one, first, go to the help pages in the back of the book. Then, if you still cannot figure it out, just skip it. If you consistently are skipping ones, I'm going to get a little ticked off. But every once in a while, I'm going to be like, okay, that's probably something that was covered in a Simple Solutions book in 5th grade or 4th grade or 3rd grade, and now you're in 7th grade and you don't remember it. Or you're a new student and this is the first time you've ever done Simple Solutions, so you can't be expected to know something. Try, but don't get all bent out of shape. This is where the organization becomes really important, though. You will also have a Simple Solutions quiz every week, one every week. You got to label your quizzes correctly because like the first full week of school, next week, you will have a quiz 1, which will be from your Rebecca history book. And you're going to have a Simple Solutions quiz 1, which will be from the Simple Solutions. I will give you a quiz study guide. We will make a quiz study guide together for both of those. But you got to make sure you're studying the right one for the right day. When I put it on RenWeb, I will put quiz 1, and then the next day or the day before, I may have Simple Solutions quiz 1. Don't want parents or students confused. They're 2 different things, 2 different study guides, from 2 different curriculums. No, Miss Oaks has not lost her mind. It's just repeating things. So that's history for all 4 grades. 5th and 6th, you can now zone out, quit watching if you want, or if you want a sneak peek of other things of literature and Bible for future years, keep listening. I also teach literature. I teach the 7th and 8th grade literature class. Another change from last year. Literature is now on Thursday and Friday, which I think I'm going to like better. Monday literature classes were kind of difficult. I get that. But it's going to be the same thing as last year. Thursday night, you'll have a little bit of homework. Probably some vocab, couple of questions to answer, maybe a chapter to read. Little bit of homework. Friday, it's going to look like a ton of homework because it's going to be a lot of homework because you're going to have from Friday to Thursday to get it done. That's almost a week. So don't wait till Wednesday night, especially since for some of you, Wednesday night is church night. Don't wait till Wednesday night to try to do it all. It's not going to work. So pace yourself. Do a little bit every night along the way. And then kind of glance back over your notes, kind of remind yourself Wednesday night what your reading homework was. So on Thursday, when I ask questions to make sure that we have done our reading homework, y'all will have some clue what's going on. So that's it for literature. The last thing I teach is 7th grade Bible. 7th grade Bible, to me, is a very important year. My goal for Bible is for the students and maybe the family to take it from being a head thing to a heart thing. If your student has been in a Christian school of any kind for any length of time, but especially if it's like my kids, and I know some of these students who have been here for 10, 11 years, or however many years, 8, 9 years, they have learned a lot of Scripture. They have learned a lot of the basic Bible stories. They know them. really well. To be perfectly honest, I didn't grow up memorizing scripture. So some of these students probably have more scripture memorized than I do. It's now time as 7th graders, as 12, 13-year-olds, to take that knowledge and start applying it to their lives, to really take that knowledge and start making it their own, make their faith, their belief their own. And so that's what I really hope they start doing in 7th grade year and then continue doing it in their 8th grade year. We would love for everybody to stay here all the way through 12th grade, but we know that may not happen. So I'm the next to last Bible teacher some of these students may have, and I really, really, really feel that pressure for students to get it so that their faith is their own. Not their parents' faith, not their teacher's faith, but their faith. And it becomes a heart thing. Same as last year, and same as in 5th grade year. They'll come in every morning, they'll have a memory verse that they will write. And then on Friday, they'll have a memory verse quiz. That'll be the biggest part of their grade. But this year, they will also have some book work. Most of it should be able to be done in class, unless they are absent or just really, really, really slow. And then they'll have to come home. The 2 books that we're going to be using this year, at the beginning of the year, we're going to be talking about Joseph. But if you notice Joseph, it's called Joseph, a Character Study. So yeah, we'll be going through the life of Joseph, but we'll be going beyond just the life of Joseph and everything that he did. But we'll also be seeing how we can take the stuff that Joseph did and apply it to our lives. So that'll take till around Christmas time. Then this book will go home to stay. And then we will spend a while on life of Christ, really digging into the life of Christ. Once again, really trying to figure out how we can apply his life to his lessons and things that he taught to our lives, getting to know him deeper. That'll take about 10 weeks. And then we will finish up the year with... I have a curriculum I use, but it's also just kind of reading through Acts and talking about the book of Acts. They won't have a book that they'll take home from that, just some sheets that I copy and stuff like that. So that's 7th grade Bible. Sorry, this is a long video, but it's kind of the overview of all of middle school plus the 3 different subjects that I teach. I am looking forward to an awesome year. Know that I love each and every one of you, that I'm praying for all the students, for all the families, and that's one thing that I would really appreciate if you all would do for us, is pray for us, because we can definitely use all the prayer and encouragement and help along the way. If you have any questions, email us is the best way to get in touch with us. Know that as long as we're teaching, we're teaching. We're trying to avoid phones and stuff like that. We'll get back to you as soon as we can. So if you have any questions, feel free to contact us. Love you all. Looking forward to a great year.